One of these men survived a plunge over Niagara Falls. What is your name, please?
My name is Nathan Boyer.
My name is Nathan Boyer.
My name is Nathan Boyer.
Only one of these men is the real Nathan Boyer. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Dina Merrill, Johnny Carson, and Betty White on To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collyer.
Thank you, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by the makers of Easy Off Oven Cleaner. The easy way to make dirtiest ovens sparkle like new. Easy Off Oven Cleaner. Good evening, pal.
Good evening, Bud.
Hi, Bud. Oh, look bright and shining tonight. Would you mind opening your envelopes, take out your affidavit cards for the first time, and follow along as I read. I, Nathan Boyer, was born and raised in New York City. On July 15th, 1961, I went over Niagara Falls in the Plungosphere, a rubber-coated 6-foot steel ball of my own design. Although I was arrested and fined $113 by the Canadian authorities, I am still one of the 2 people alive today who have intentionally gone over Niagara Falls and lived to tell about it. Signed, Nathan Boyer. All set, gentlemen? Quite comfortable? Okay, then, panel, you heard these 3 gentlemen all claiming to be Nathan Boyer, man who went over Niagara Falls and lived to tell about it, and we start this first round of questioning with our own Miss Niagara Falls, Betty White.
Thank you, Bud. Number one, how many people have actually gone over the falls? Not just survived, but have actually gone over the falls intentionally?
7.
Number 2, do you agree with that?
Just about.
Number 3, do you?
I do, yes.
Number 3, what is the name of the island where you can also cross over the island to sightsee around Niagara Falls?
Goat Island.
Number 2, what is the name of the ship that takes you down at the bottom of the falls, takes you around and as close to the falls as you can get, except your way?
I think it's made of mist.
Number 1, how many boats are there?
2.
Number 3, how many trips a day do they make?
I don't know.
I don't either. You could have told me anything.
Tom Poston.
Thank you, Bud. Number 3, what is the interior construction of your Plungosphere?
Well, it's made of rubber and steel. And it has air, or inner tubes, inflated inner tubes, going around the outside wall.
And number 2, thank you. Number 3. Number 2, what is what kind of rubber is that inside?
Oh, it's not foam rubber. It's just a plain hard rubber.
It's a hard rubber inside?
Yes.
Number 1, what means do you have of staying in one place inside the Plungosphere?
There are 2 straps, one around my waist and one around my legs, which keep me intact.
Thank you.
Dina.
Number 2, where did you build this? The
I didn't build
Plungosphere.
it. I had it built in the Bronx, New York here. Hudson. Yeah, might as well plug that.
Number 3, how did you get this Plungosphere to the Niagara Falls?
I took it up to Niagara Falls on a U-Haul trailer. Another plug.
Number 3, did you do this at night when nobody was looking? Or?
That's right, at night.
You did. Number 1, do you agree with that? Did you do that at night?
Yes, I did.
And number 2, who pulled you out?
There was a couple on a made of mist boat, which you asked about before, who was on the boat, and they saw us go over. And they were there pretty much after we hit the bottom, me and the sphere.
Johnny.
Number 3, why'd you do a nutty thing like this? I mean, it is kind of unusual. I mean, why did you do it?
Well, I was always fascinated by the falls, the raw power of the falls.
Yeah.
And it was no more than a desire to do it and more or less a scientific experiment.
Number 1, you weren't on your wedding or anything, were you, up there?
No, I wasn't. It was more or less just the challenge which had always fascinated me.
Number 2, what did it cost?
I'm afraid that's it. It's Time now for you to cease your pondering and wondering why and just write down who. So if you will please do so now. Figure out for yourselves and mark your ballots without consultation. And vote as you do so for number 1, number 2, or number 3. As is our custom, the team of challengers will get the usual $250 for every incorrect vote. All ballots marked? Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 3. I thought they all looked good and rugged, number 2 especially, but something about the way number 3 described this initial challenge of the power of the falls.
Dina.
Well, I voted for number 3, too, Bud. And I really don't know why. Number 2 seems to me to be too big a man to fit into a 6-foot sphere. I think he's over 6 feet. But between 1 and 3, I just picked 3.
Okay, Johnny.
I don't really know how you're going to narrow this down tonight. How many questions can you ask about, going over the falls in a barrel to narrow it? But I voted for number 3 also.
Did you?
Yes, because I peeked at Dina's and I copied hers.
Betty, which one did you select?
Be honest.
Well, they all don't know why they voted for 3. I voted for 2, and I can tell you all the reasons why I almost didn't. First of all, he's too big. Secondly, a man who grows a mustache, I think, is much too dignified maybe to go over the falls. But that sneaky little plug he got in there for the fella that built his plunges sphere, I think we better keep an eye on him. He might be trying it again.
All right, almost unanimity, near unanimity, I guess you can say, with Tom, Dina, and Johnny for number 3, Betty for number 2. And now we come to our own particular moment of truth on our show, and we learn which one is right and which one is wrong as we discover who or which of these gentlemen actually went over Niagara Falls and lived to tell about it. So will the real Nathan Boyer please stand up? Well, panel is real sharp tonight. Yes, Tom?
Time for just a couple of little questions?
Go ahead, quickly.
Was it at night, number 3?
Yes, it was at night.
Who did you expect to pick you up?
Pardon?
A partner?
When you say at night, do you mean did I take the plungosphere to Niagara Falls at night?
No, did you go over at night?
No, definitely not.
Oh. That's what I misunderstood in the original.
No, just...
Who did you expect to pick you up, number 3? I'm sorry.
The Canadians, the Canadian police, which they did.
He kind of knew he'd aggravate him enough to pick him up.
I got to ask one question. How come they didn't stop you when they saw you getting out this big thing and getting in it? Why didn't they stop you
Well,
then?
I anticipated that, and no one was around at the time.
Could I ask one quick one?
Quick.
Why wasn't it you, number 2?
I'm afraid they'll lock him up in a cell. He might take it over the falls.
Let's find out about these other 2 gentlemen. Number 1, would you tell us your real name and what you... Oh, by the way, before, I'd like to tell you that Nathan has written a book about this called The Pit of Darkness, I believe. And I know if it's as good as everything else that he's done so far, it's going to be a fine story, and I wish you a lot of luck with it, Nathan.
Thank you.
Number 1, would you tell us your real name and what you really do?
My name is Conrad Graves. I'm a youth secretary for the YMCA.
And number 2, your real name and what you do, please.
My name is DeLacy Thorne, and I am assistant manager of the CBS Musicians.
Well, it was great fun seeing DeLacy Thorne. I've known him for a good many years around CBS here. We neither one of us want to say how many. Well, in checking the score, we find out there was only one incorrect vote at $250. The panel was real sharp. That means $250 from Easy Off, as well as a gift package of fine products from the makers of Easy Off. And gentlemen, thanks so much for starting things off on such a fun level. Good night to you, and God bless you. Present our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Clarice Richardson. My name is Clarice Richardson. My name is Clarice Richardson.
Again, follow along, panel, with your copies of this affidavit, if you will. I, Clarice Richardson, am a high school student. I'm a member of the cheerleading team, which recently won first place in a 4-state competition. My first love, however, is horses. I started riding when I was 8 years old and later specialized in rodeo riding. Last year, I won my state rodeo championship and then went on to compete in 3 events in the Nationals. I am the National High School Rodeo All-Around Champion Cowgirl of 1961. Signed, Clarice Richardson. Well, you heard these three nice young ladies, each claiming to be Clarice Richardson, champion cowgirl of 1961. Let's start this round of questioning with Johnny Carson. Johnny?
Number 3, which 3 events did you compete in?
Barrel racing, pole bending, and calf roping.
Pole bending?
Yes.
What is pole bending?
You have 5 poles, and it's a timed event. You run your horse straight down alongside of them, weave in and out, and weave back, and then run straight back.
That's right. What's the world's record for calf roping? How many seconds?
I don't know.
Number 2, how fast did you rope a calf?
The girls don't rope calves.
Well, number 3 was just in a... Were you in calf roping?
Yes.
What is your record in roping a calf?
11.1.
Wow.
Betty?
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, do you know what blistering is?
No, I don't.
Do you, number 2?
No.
Do you, number 3?
No.
Number 2, number 1, I beg your pardon. Oh, Paul, pardon me. Number 1, what were the 3 events that you competed in?
I was also in barrel roping and calf roping. Pole bending.
Number 2, what were your 3 events?
I was in the cutting contest, the barrel racing, and the pole bending.
Uh-huh. And number 3, what is a hackamore?
It's a bridle without a bit.
Number 1, do you agree with that?
Yes.
You would. You're sneaky.
Tom?
I have a kind of a peculiar question. Now, think a little minute, ladies. Number 3, do you know what flanking a horse is?
Flanking?
Flanking.
Flanking a horse.
You put a strap around the flank to make him buck. I think.
Do you agree with that, number 2?
Yes.
Number 1?
Yes.
All right, let me ask it this way. Number 3, what do you call it when a horse holds his breath when you're trying to cinch up the girth and you want him to let his breath out?
A very nervous horse.
I don't know.
Do you know an expression for that, number 2?
No.
Number 1?
No.
Listen, number 1, what's a pig and string? Do you happen to know that?
A pig and string is a string you tie around the calf's feet when you're roping them.
Thank you.
Dina?
Number 1, what state are you from?
I'm from Arizona.
Number 2?
Montana.
Number 3?
Kansas.
Well, it's a nice all-state group here. What was the 4-state competition, number 1? What 4 states were competing?
Well, in my state, there are Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, and Utah.
I see.
Guess that's it. We have to leave it right there in those 4 states for the moment. I don't know what state you're in, but let's see how you do about the voting. Do so now, if you will, please, panel, without consultation, as usual, and simply mark your ballots for number 1, number 2, or number 3.
Absolutely nothing.
Aren't they pretty ladies, though?
Yes, they sure are. All ballots marked. Very well. Tom, yours first. For whom did you vote this time?
I voted for number 3, partly, I guess, on the basis of the fact that there was a little confusion there about who entered and who placed in the calf roping contest among girls.
Dina.
Yeah.
Sorry. Dina?
I'll go with the winner here. I voted for number 3, too. She seemed to know a great deal about her subject.
Okay, Johnny.
No, I'm going to go with number 1 this time. Number 3 said that the world's record, or her record, was 11.2 for calf roping. I think the men's record is somewhere over 14. And number 2 said that women do not rope calves, and I've seen them, so I go for number 1.
Okay, Betty.
Any kind of a friend would tell me you had seen women roping calves. On the strength of the fact that I didn't think girls did rope calves, I voted for number 2.
Oh, good. We're
And
covered.
besides, I can't see Tom's paper.
So this time then we have Tom and Dina voting for number 3, Johnny for number 1, and Betty for number 2. Let's find out which is right and which is wrong as we learn now which one of these 3 very pretty young misses is the champion cowgirl for 1961. Will the real Clarice Richardson please stand up?
And let's hit. I'm going to get her to lead a cheer.
Thank you very much. Do they have cow roping for girls?
Yes,
They
it's
do.
called breakaway roping.
And what is your actual time? Was it 11?
11.1. You don't have to tie the calf. You just have to rope it.
Ah, that makes a difference. I see. All right, number one, would you tell us your your real name and what you really do?
My name is Janet Champion, and I'm a featured ice skater with the Shipstead and Johnson Ice Follies, now at Madison Square Garden. And I've never been on a horse in my life.
I can understand it. You can't get your feet in the stirrups with those ice skates on. Number two, your real name and what do you do?
I'm Marianne Hillier, and I'm an account executive for Pantry Master Kitchen Wines, and I'm also the current Miss New York City.
Bless you. Well, we checked the score this time. We find it 2-2. There were 2 right and 2 wrong. For those 2 incorrect votes, ladies, you collect a total of $500 at $250 each from Easy Off, as well as the gift package of the fine products from the makers of Easy Off. You've added mighty prettily to our evening's entertainment, and we thank you for that. Good night, and God bless you. Now let's meet our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is John M. Steele. My name is John M. Steele.
My name is John M. Steele.
Again, panel, you've had a look. Will you kindly follow along with your copies of this affidavit? I, John M. Steele, was a paratrooper during World War II. My battalion jumped into France before dawn on D-Day, June 6, 1944. Instead of dropping in the prearranged zone, I landed in a small French village. My parachute caught on a church steeple. For 2 hours, I hung there in full view while the troops fought it out in the streets below. I played dead. After the attack, the Germans cut me down and took me prisoner. 3 days later, during an American tank attack, I escaped. The incident is told in Cornelius Ryan's book, The Longest Day. The book is being made into a movie, and my part is played by Red Buttons, signed John M. Steele. All set and ready to play our game, gentlemen? Very well. You all heard them, each one claiming to be John Steele, World War II paratrooper extraordinary. Let's start this round of questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Did you live? Oh, yes, of course you did. Number 3, what's the term used when a trooper doesn't jump? Do you happen to remember that?
Well, I never met one that didn't jump.
Well, they did have a term for it. Do you know it?
No.
Number 2?
Chicken.
Number 1, is there possibly another name, another term given to that?
I don't recall.
Number 1, who was your commanding officer?
Number 1?
Number 1? The general. The general commander.
Well, we had 2. Major General Matt Ridgway and General Gavin.
Thank you. Number 2, could you tell me the outfits that jumped on D-Day?
82nd Airborne and 101st Airborne.
Thank you.
Dina.
And which outfit were you, number 3? 82nd?
82nd.
82nd.
That's right.
Number 2? Which outfit were you?
82nd.
Oh, you're all in the 82nd. Okay. How many jumps did you have to do, number 1? How many jumps did you have to do in your training before you were allowed to do a combat jump? Before you were sent out for combat jump?
Well, you qualified with 5 jumps.
5 jumps. Number 2, what kind of a plane was it that dropped you?
C-47.
Johnny, number 2, you play Red Buttons plays your part in this?
Yes, sir.
Have you met Red Buttons?
No, sir.
Number 3, have you?
No, I have not.
Number 1, do you know what Red Buttons' real name is?
No, I don't.
Number 2, does Red Buttons suffer from acrophobia?
I've never met the gentleman.
Number 1, do you know that is a fact or not?
I believe he does.
Number 3, what was the name of the French village in which you landed?
Saint Mary Glisse.
Saint Mary Glisse?
Yes.
I pass. I think I got it nailed.
All right, Betty.
Oh, boy. Number 1, what do you call the ropes on a parachute?
They're the shroud lines.
Number 3, do you agree with that?
Yes, that's correct.
Number 2, Saint Mary Glisse, is that the name of the village where you
Yes.
landed? How far was that from the prearranged zone?
About 2 miles.
And number 3, when the Germans cut you down and took you prisoner, where did they take you?
Well, first they took me to a large house, I guess a chateau, in the village, and then they moved me out the next day.
Number 2, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Number 1, where were you taken first after you were taken prisoner? Absolutely first. Who was the first German you saw, aside from the men who actually took you prisoner? Not Hans Conried, John, no.
I saw some more Germans.
Number 2, who was the first one you saw, the officer?
It was a second lieutenant.
Well, we'll have to let it go at that, if we can, because our time is gone, and it's time for you now to mark your ballots, which you all do so well, so kindly do so now. Mark the next ballot with your vote right now, without consultation, and as you do so, of course, as before, you'll vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3.
Gee, Willie did it again to us this week, I think. They're all pretty well briefed.
All set. Tom, for whom this time?
I voted for number 1. I knew the names of at least a couple of commanding officers over there. I really should know this specifically, you know. I may have dropped this, except I dropped the 101st.
Were you flying the C-47s, were you?
I was in the 13th airplane over Cherbourg on D-Day morning.
Wow.
Yeah, dropping two. Of course, I was only 7 years old at the time.
The reason they jumped there was so scared, flying this down. Well, not any trouble at all. Dina, your vote.
Well, but I'm going with number 3 again. It seems to be my evening for 3. But number 3, if movies have anything to do with this, he looks more like Red Buttons than any of the rest of them do. That's my only reason.
Typecasting in reverse.
Yes.
Johnny.
I'm going to go along with Chicken Poston.
Yes.
I voted for 1 because he said he thought that Buttons suffers from acrophobia, which Red admits very freely. He was petrified hanging in that steeple doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
And Betty.
Well, I've been wrong on 2 twice tonight. I don't see why I should change, but on the strength of that chicken answer, he didn't say he didn't know the term. He just came back with a very good term. So I'm going to go with number 2.
Okay, widely dispersed this time. 2 for 1, 1 for 2, and 1 for 3. Broken up among our panel. And we'll find out now who's right and who's wrong as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the real World War II paratrooper. So will the real John Steele please stand up? Buddy, sir. Thank you very much. Tom and Johnny got that one. Yes, Tom.
It's kind of interesting. Would you hung from a church steeple, right?
Right.
Would you tell us what the name of that town, St. Mary Église, means?
I don't know.
Well, it's Église is a church.
The church. That's right. That's right.
So you were
I think
really
it's
hanging
also interesting to note that this gentleman went on in his soldiery to jump into Holland, also later in the Battle of the Bulge. He really had quite a career. We're very proud to have him here. Number 2, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
Yes, my name is Willis Slane. I'm president of the Hatteras Yacht Company, builders of the world's largest fiberglass yachts.
I thought you maybe were in chicken husbandry. I didn't know. Number 3, your real name and what do you do?
My name is Frank Bryant, and I work for Compton Advertising in New York.
Yes?
I'm also a partner of Tom Poston's, but I've never met him before in a puppet venture that we have together.
Oh, yeah, with Boris?
Yeah.
Runanian? That's going to be a big thing.
You never met him before?
It's going to be a very big... No, I don't know the gentleman.
Silent partner, you see there? You never know, do you?
Yes. Well, he's another one of the poor suckers that Boris
Well, let's see how you made out tonight by way of an investment. We had exactly 2 correct and 2 incorrect for $500 total from Easy Off, gentlemen. Not too bad, I think, for the fun you had, and we had too, as well as a gift package of fine products from the makers of Easy Off. And we thank you, gentlemen. Good night. God bless you. Regretfully, good night, panel.
Good night, Bud.
Bud Collier saying good night from Easy Off and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.